Hi, I'm Jessie, your guru girl, and today I want to talk to you about how to make kombucha. Kombucha is a fermented food, so I guess first we probably need to talk about what fermented foods are. Fermented foods are basically natural foods where you add a culture or you let a culture form on them, and it breaks down the food and turns it into something that has all the enzymes intact, it's incredibly digestible, and it's teeming with probiotics. Kombucha is a type of natural fermented food, and what it basically is tea and sugar with a culture, and it creates this really wonderful, slightly vinegary, slightly sweet, bubbly beverage, kind of like drinking soda or pop, depending on where you live in the country. The reason why probiotics are so important is they really make up your whole gut biome. What we're beginning to learn in the medical world is that there's the gut brain and then there's the head brain, right? And the gut and the brain are actually made out of the same stem cells, and they operate very much in the same way. And the intelligence in your gut is so strong. And for years I guess in the Western world, we believe that the brain actually tells you how to do everything and how to live and how to process information. And what we're really learning is that without a strong, healthy gut, your brain can't operate effectively. I personally experienced this when I was in a car accident and I had a traumatic brain injury. And I realized that when your brain is injured, your gut gets injured. And there's this really interesting interdependence that happens between the two systems. And when you feed your gut properly, it can actually help you heal your brain. And that's the reason why I found probiotics and naturally fermented foods are so important, is because it rebuilds that beautiful relationship between all of the systems of your body. Probiotics specifically do something in your gut, and they kind of act like the internet of your body. These organisms, as they grow, produce something called carbon redox molecules. And the carbon redox molecules do a couple different things. Number one, they create this kind of superhighway of connectedness to tell your immune system how to function. That's the reason why they say 80% of your immune system is in your gut. So these carbon redox molecules are kind of like the really important electrical currents that kind of exist between all of these different microbes in your gut. And then also what they do is those carbon redox molecules close the tight junctions in your gut. If the tight junctions are closed, then the bacteria can process your food properly, you can get nutrient assimilation properly, and it also prevents leaky gut, which is a really big problem, and what people are believing are kind of the causes of autoimmune diseases. So whenever you have a strong gut flora balance of healthy bacteria and these organisms, then you're going to have a lot more health. And that's why we do things like drink kombucha. These are the ingredients that you're going to need to make kombucha, or the supplies, right? So first you're going to need something to heat your water, like a kettle. I'm just using an electric kettle filled with non-chlorinated water. You definitely don't want to have chlorine in your water, even though a lot of it dissipates when you boil it. The chlorine and the chloramine left behind can kill your culture. It's really important that you use either spring water or filtered water with the chlorine removed and the chloramine removed. You need a glass jar to make your kombucha in. Use a glass jar that's made for pickling. Right now this has boiling water in it because we're sterilizing it. It's really important to keep everything clean and sterile before you do it. You want to control the bacteria culture that you're actually adding, so make sure you sterilize it really well. So there are a lot of different options when it comes to what you want to culture your kombucha with. For me, what I just use is I use a bottle of kombucha that's in the fridge. So you can use, for your first time anyways, if you have kombucha on the go, you'll just take your mother out of the last jar and put it in the next one. But if this is your first time making it, you can just grab a bottle of raw kombucha. GT has a really good brand, or if you can find local kombucha or your friend's kombucha, you can just borrow theirs. So I've got a bottle here. You'll need a teapot with tea. A lot of people like to use green tea in their kombucha because that's traditional, but I like to do things that are a little bit fun. So I just get, Celestial Seasonings has berry tea, lemon zinger. Sometimes I like to use roasted dandelion root because it adds other kinds of nutrients and you get other benefits from it than just the green tea. And I don't personally like caffeine, so the kombucha that I'm going to be making is non-caffeinated. And then you'll need sugar. The type of sugar that you get is really important. You don't want brown sugar, you do want white sugar, and you want to make sure that your sugar is organic. I'll make a video about genetically modified ingredients, genetically modified organisms, and the sugar. But I truly believe that you should use superior products when you're making your kombucha, and I wouldn't use anything but organic, non-GMO sugar. And then you'll just need something like a little whisk to stir everything together. To cover your kombucha, you'll either need some cheesecloth or you'll need a kitchen towel. It really depends on the season and how much air you want to get in there. During the growing season, when people end up getting some fruit flies in their house, cheesecloth might not be good enough to prevent an infestation because fruit flies love the smell of this stuff. So you might want to use something heavier like a kitchen towel. This will let the air in and you just, rubber band the top, but it'll keep any kind of pests out. Okay, our water's boiling, so we're just gonna add it to the teapot. I've got about 5 tea bags in here with a couple different flavors that I showed you. I have a little bit of lemon, a couple different berries, and then some dandelion root tea. So, just like you make any other tea, you just fill it up with hot boiling water, put your cover on. I have one that's in here, some loose tea, so this doesn't fit all the way on. And then you just let it sit for 45 minutes until it's finished brewing. Now that we have cooled the tea and sugar liquid, we can add our kombucha. Now it's really important that you cool it to a maximum of 77 degrees. You want it to be about room temperature on the high end in order for the bacteria cultures to really get in there and start going. So what I'm going to do is I'll open up this bottle of kombucha. I burped it earlier, so it should be okay. And then what I'll do is just add this in, and this is going to, hopefully I didn't put too much liquid in, this is going to culture the kombucha. Oops. Add it all in. And then we'll cover it up. I'm using cheesecloth. In the summer months, you might want to use a towel. You don't want any little critters or bugs to get in there. Fruit flies especially love this stuff. They smell the vinegar and they smell it fermenting. And so put the cheesecloth on, just secure it with some rubber bands, and we're good to go. This is going to sit out on the counter for 2 to 3 weeks. You want the acidity to get to around 3%, and you'll know it's ready when there's a thick layer, what you would call the mother, a thick layer. It looks like a giant kind of jellyfish mushroom thing growing on top. And when you taste it, it's going to taste a little bit sweet but vinegary. And there will be some bubbles rising. And you'll know that it's ready. The first fermentation will be done, and then you're ready for the second fermentation. Okay, so our tea is brewed, so I'm going to take all the tea things out. I've got all kinds of different ways that I put tea in here. So I'll take out all the tea bags. And this has been brewing for about 10 minutes. I like really strong tea. One more. So I like it to have a lot of flavor. And then what I'll do is I'll pour in, and the amount of sugar that you pour in really depends on how big of a batch that you're making. If you're doing a half a gallon, which is what I usually do at a time, I pour in between a half and 3/4 of a cup. And then what you do is just stir it until it's dissolved. Oops. You want the sugar to dissolve. You want the sugar to get through the entire, have it fully dissolved so that when you put the culture in, it starts working on that sugar equally. And that's why you need to add the sugar when it's hot too. Moment of metal. into our sterilized container. And then I'm going to top this up I'm going to fill it up to the top by adding some extra non-chlorinated filtered or spring water. Now that we have cooled the tea and sugar liquid, we can add our kombucha. Now it's really important that you cool it to a maximum of 77 degrees. You want it to be about room temperature on the high end in order for the bacteria cultures to really get in there and start going. So what I'm going to do is I'll open up this bottle of kombucha. I burped it earlier, so it should be okay. And then what I'll do is just add this in, and this is going to, hopefully I didn't put too much liquid in, this is going to culture the kombucha. Oops. Add that all in. And then we'll cover it up. I'm using cheesecloth. In the summer months, you might want to use a towel. You don't want any little critters or bugs to get in there. Fruit flies especially love this stuff. They smell the vinegar and they smell it fermenting. And so put the cheesecloth on, just secure it with some rubber bands, and we're good to go. This is going to sit out on the counter for 2 to 3 weeks. You want the acidity to get to around 3%, and you'll know it's ready when there's a thick layer, what you would call the mother, a thick layer. It looks like a giant kind of jellyfish mushroom thing growing on top. And when you taste it, it's going to taste a little bit sweet but vinegary, and there will be some bubbles rising, and you'll know that it's ready. The first fermentation will be done, and then you're ready for the second fermentation. Now for the moment of truth. So I have been on vacation for a couple weeks, and during that time the kombucha was getting nice and fermented and yummy, and so we're ready to go. And the way that you can tell whether it's ready or not is really by testing it, or you can use a pH testing strip. You want the pH to be around 3, or you want it to have a nice slightly acidic flavor with a little bit of sweetness. So I took this off, and the mother that we grew is actually pretty nice looking, so I'm going to pull her out. Now this thing looks kind of like a weird jellyfish. Don't freak out. It's just a collection. It looks like a mushroom, but it's really a collection of bacteria that kind of all grow together in this nice little family. So I'll put that there. I'm going to cover it up. Make sure when you put it on a plate that you don't put it on anything that's chlorinated. You don't want to infect it with anything. You want to keep it nice and alive. And we'll put that in our next batch of kombucha, which I'll brew after I'm done with this. So what we do is we just take our kombucha bottles, and then I'm going to pour it without making too big of a mess into bottles. Oops, that was a little bit too much. So don't do that. You can see how it's fizzing. You can see how much carbon dioxide is in it, which it's good. It means it's alive. Alive is really good because that's all those yummy probiotics. It's good for you, probiotics. Oops. And it smells amazing. It has that yummy, yeasty kind of smell to it, like baking bread. Sign of a good, healthy mother that ate up all that sugar. Now, when you're bottling your kombucha, you can also add other flavors. Because I used a lot of really flavorful teas, what I wanted to do is I wanted to keep it just really simple. I wanted it just the kombucha flavor. Ooh, this is the good stuff at the bottom. I don't know if you can see this, but it's nice and cloudy at the bottom. There's a big pile of delicious bacteria down there. That's really good. Anyways, what I was saying is you can add all kinds of flavors to it. You can add spices to it. So if you want pumpkin spice around that time of the year, I'm making a big mess with this. You can add pumpkin spices, you can add ginger, you can add turmeric, all kinds of things. So once you're done with this, and I made this giant mess, you want to use airtight containers, and what you'll do is you'll seal them up. And you'll let them do what's called a secondary ferment. This is probably too high, I'll have to empty some out, but you do a secondary ferment, and what that does is it allows it to create more bubbles, and it gives you that nice effervescent soda type consistency. And what you'll do is you'll try to burp it at least once a day so that it doesn't build up and explode. And that's pretty much it. That's the process of making kombucha. So what I'll do is I'll empty all this out, I'll create another batch, I'll put my mother on top, and then I'll just keep brewing. And I never have to, now that I have a mother, I never have to buy another mother again, and I can just keep making kombucha forever. So that's it. Anyways, thanks. We'll see you later. Bye. The biome of your gut really has this amazing interdependency with
I'm not recording yet.
what? Okay. Necessary to like it the first time, to like beer or wine, but you grow to love it. So if you like soda,